Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to Liesl's Celebration of Life. I'm just going to give some brief opening remarks because if Liesl knew that we were starting late, she would turn over in her grave. She's actually not in a grave. She was cremated and she's been interred already at the San Francisco Columbarium. So anybody's welcome to go there at any time to see her niche and the little memorial that we set up there. And they have free coffee there too, so it's a great incentive to go there. If you ever find yourself in San Francisco, she'd love to see you.
Welcome. I'm the Reverend Nancy Palmer-Jones, and it is my great honor to welcome you to this celebration of the life of Liesl Wirtz, spouse, sister and sister-in-law, daughter and daughter-in-law, aunt, family member, friend, colleague, congregant, dancer, lover of animals, model of the highest integrity, generous spirit, and so much more. Our beautiful, amazing Liesl. We come together today from so many different places, from so many different faiths, from so many different parts of Liesl's life. And just look at what we are doing right here and now. For we are creating one community, knit together by what we have in common, our love for Liesl and her family. One community here and now. And forever after, we will be united by this time together. We gather, of course, to mourn this loss too soon of our beloved Liesl. And we also gather to rejoice that Liesl has lived, to rejoice that we have known her and will even continue to get to know her through the stories that we share today and the stories that we share for the rest of our lives. We gather to name all the things that Liesl has taught us about how we want to live from this moment forward. We gather to express our gratitude for Liesl's presence in our lives. And all of this is why we call this service a celebration of life. So today, with our songs and our stories, the music and the memories, our tears and our laughter, we invite Liesl's full presence among us here and now. Let us begin by calling into our minds and hearts the strong, steady, gentle light that Liesl brought into every room she entered. Remember how she glowed from within, with attentiveness and curiosity, with a quick mind made for managing details. Remember how she gave off light through quiet, kind words and those loving looks she offered us. Remember her blazing self-awareness and her fierce courage to face into any truth and to live every single day that she was given. We gather here today to see and hear and feel and sense Liesl's light shining among us now and always. So that when we go into the social hall, which is to my left through those double doors, after the service for the reception, we will be ready to carry Liesl's legacy, her light, forward in our own lives, shining from within. The slender candle on the table in the center of the labyrinth represents Liesl. This is the candle in her favorite color that we lit for her in worship the Sunday after she died. We invite Liesl's presence to burn in our hearts and minds now. And Liesl loved ritual. She loved the familiar gestures repeated over and over that connect us with the holy, with God, with the spirit of life and love known by so many names and beyond all naming, and with our deepest selves. So today, as we do every single Sunday in this congregation, we light the chalice. It's the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, but Liesl would love the story of its creation. It was created by a Jewish artist for Unitarians who were rescuing people from the Nazis during World War II. It's a symbol of justice and refuge. It makes it very appropriate to light for Liesl now.
Today, may that bowl of the chalice represent this community, all of us gathered here. And the flame, may it represent our love for Liesl and her love for life. To light the chalice, Liesl chose her beloved nieces, Maddie and Gretchen Garrett. Please come forward now. And as they light the chalice, those of us who know our Sunday morning chalice lighting words will say them together. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of service. The warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of service. Liesl lived these words. Liesl chose our opening song, as indeed she chose everything that we are doing today. The opening song is Come, Come, Whoever You Are. It's based on a text by the Sufi poet Rumi, and it calls us all together in a wide open gesture of welcome for everyone. She asks us specifically to remember that ours is no caravan of despair. Those are lyrics in the song. But rather, ours is the incredible gift to get to travel through life together. You'll find it at hymn number 188 in the great hymnal. Diane will play the melody through for us once, and then we'll sing together once in unison and twice as a round. So here's how we'll do that. This half of the sanctuary will sing the first part, and I invite all of you beautiful First Unitarian folks to sing out and carry that part, because I will then move over and tell you all the second part, when to enter in. And we'll sing it twice as a round. So again, once to listen, once in unison, and then twice as a round, and I'll tell you when we come in. Would you please rise in body or in spirit to sing this song of welcome? No one story, no one person, no one song or piece of music can capture the whole of anyone's life. Every life is like a prism, multifaceted, sometimes sparkling and throwing rainbows, sometimes clouded or dimmed. Today we offer different angles of the prism, different stories and memories that help us to see and feel Liesl's spirit shining through all the different aspects of her life. we will create this vision and experience of Liesl whole by bringing all of this together. We begin with some prepared reflections from those very close to her. And in a little while, you too will have a chance to share a very brief memory, or either written or spoken if you choose. So listen to these prepared reflections. Think if you have an angle of the prism that we're not quite yet hearing, and be ready to offer that in writing or spoken in just a little while. We begin with Liesl's lifelong friend, one of two bridesmaids in her wedding to Christopher, Melinda Sinclair.
Hello. I was fortunate enough to meet Liesl 33 years ago on our first day of 6th grade. Due to having last names at the very end of the alphabet, we were seated next to each other in most of our classes, and we ended up with lockers next to each other. We became fast friends as we had a lot in common. Liesl was a great student, and we had a lot of fun hanging out in our Mickey Mouse decorated room. What you might not know of this, but back when she was younger, Liesl loved a good horror movie. We would curl up on the sofa in her family room and get scared late into the night. We did this so often that we almost ran out of VHS tapes to rent from our local video store. Liesl also had a mischievous side. Pushing towards our independence, we loved to sneak out at night with our group of friends. We had an ongoing game of TPing and forking people's yards that were our classmates. It was always a grand adventure until one of our yards was targeted and we had to clean it up. Over the years, we always managed to stay in touch. I raised my family as she married and had her great career. I miss Liesl dearly. The first time, that I met Liesl, she greeted me with a huge warm smile. When I said goodbye to her last month, that same smile was on her face. When I am missing her, I find that I close my eyes and I see that beautiful smile. And I just hope that you can see and feel her warm smile too. Thank you.
Liesl loved her work. She, I think, was proud of her work and she dedicated herself to it. So here to tell us a little bit about that aspect of the prism that is Liesl's life is Juan Gallardo, a friend from work.
Liesl and I were colleagues and friends at the Sheriff's Office. We worked together on lots of projects. We learned a lot together and worked in a really good group of staff at the Sheriff's Office. Liesl began working at the Sheriff's Office in December of 2002. She worked there for 15 years. She was just an amazing person, an amazing IT professional, an amazing person filled with light, a joy to be around all the time. She was so disciplined. She was disciplined in every facet of her life, and it showed in her work. She was always punctual. She was never late to a meeting, never missed a meeting. She was just an amazing person that took the time to really address the details in everything she did, in every work project. She focused on the details. And I think for her and for many people who have very specialized professions, they really have to be good at the small things in order to be good at the great things. And Liesl was, in fact, great at the great things. She managed our mission-critical systems. She wrote manuals, flight manuals for each of those systems that still exist today, and we still rely on. Liesl was amazing. She was our resident expert / business analyst / programmer / architect / database administrator. When Liesl left, we had to replace her core duties with 4 people. That's how good she was. You know, I really got to work close with her in 2009. And we began supporting the California Department of Justice system that the Sheriff's Office hosts and provides access and support to 45 law enforcement agencies in the county. During this time, Liesl and I took over the system. She, in 1 year, automated managing that entire system, from the way that we performed audits to how we communicated with DOJ and other investigators. She really dialed that process in. I would say that in around 2010-11, she had assisted in a number of major investigations that not a lot of people know about. And from what I understand, at the time she didn't share that with even Christopher. But during this time we had Liesl working directly with an FBI field office. We had agents come to the office working with her, and basically something you see out of the movies where you have this whiz-bang analyst showing these detectives how they can find the information, and it was amazing. And you just seeing that, and she would really pay attention to the details. And during this exact investigation, she was able to uncover queries that were accessing systems that were not supposed to be accessed, and because of that, the FBI was able to add on federal charges. And that was just one example, but her attention to detail and her discipline with her profession made her that good. She was positive in every single way, and she was a light to all of us. She'd never say anything negative about anyone. And because she was so good, there were so many times where she would step up and assist the help desk, or if there was a customer, she would be there to help them. And oftentimes in staff meetings, she would just mention, you know, it'd be good for people to help and kind of help if they can. And it was always very gentle and always a very nice reminder, but never upset about it, but always just very gentle in the way that she communicated to everyone. I'd just like to close by just mentioning that during Liesl's battle, our Sheriff's Office family, who I see here today, took the time to send her messages, emails, handwritten messages, and we visited with her and had lunch with her, and we're thankful for that time. We're thankful for even the sheriff who took the time with her executive team to sit down and have lunch and really enjoy Liesl. Liesl allowed us that opportunity, and that's how important Liesl was to our family. In closing, the day before Liesl passed, she asked if I would speak at and share some thoughts about her at her celebration of life. She gently asked Christopher for a checklist, and that was her MO. He shows up and says, okay. Liesl then asks if I'd be willing, and I graciously accepted. And she wanted to be clear that I understood. So Christopher, she nodded at him, and he reiterated, okay, this is what we would like you to do. But that's how she operated. She made sure that if we were going to work on a task, everyone knew what they were doing. And it was clear. And you can see it today. During our visits, I saw the most beautiful thing. I saw how much Christopher loved Liesl, and the joy and just the beautiful light that existed there. The time that he cared for her, he was her doctor, her caregiver, her husband, her partner. It was beautiful. As a husband, as a man, as a spouse, it was a blessing to be around that. And I thank Christopher and Liesl for that experience, because it was beautiful. And we're going to miss Liesl so much. We already miss her, and she'll always be remembered by us.
Already that vision of Liesl's smile, which we witnessed to her very, very last days. That vision of Liesl as the professional, but still gentle and kind, and very, very on top of what she wanted. And the love story that we are here to celebrate of Liesl and Christopher. Liesl and Christopher have also been and are such profoundly beloved members of this community of the First Unitarian Church of San Jose. She's a longtime member of a small group ministry. These groups are groups that meet once every 3 weeks, or once every 2 weeks, or once every 4 weeks, but they gather over years of sharing life together to talk about the most intimate aspects of life and to talk about life's biggest questions. They are intimacy and ultimacy. They are one of our ways that we strive to make meaning in our Unitarian Universalist way. So here to talk about that experience with Liesl is Carolyn Bowman, a friend from church and a member of Liesl's small group.
I am so incredibly honored to be here today and with many people that I was in small group with, past and present. My dear sweet Liesl, my heart was broken as I learned that Liesl's life journey had come to an end. What an inspiration she had always been to a life very well lived. My experience in small group ministry is synonymous with Liesl. I believe it was back in 2002, though I'm not quite sure, that when our journey began. There were 8 of us, I recall, and Liesl was new to me. I'd never really met her at church. I remember being enchanted with her quiet but very reflective mood when we gathered. She always took the time to do the homework preparation, something I have yet to aspire to, and often brought meaningful mementos to share with us that were delightful. It was like, why didn't I think of that? I mean, it was just amazing. It was just our group was so important to her. Another special bond that Liesl and I shared was that we both grew up in the Methodist Church. I don't have strong connections and memories to this part of my religious path, but Liesl did. I believe at one meeting she even brought her Bible that she received when being confirmed at the Methodist Church. I found my Bible this morning that was given to me by my minister at age 9. Look, Liesl, your thoughtfulness and planning finally rubbed off on me. Through the years, as small group ministries change and evolve, we had members come and go. I left our original group 5 years later. I could no longer commit to twice a month. Fast forward to 2013. I learned there was still a Thursday group. And lo and behold, Liesl was there. I instantly bonded with this rebel group. We had no official leader, and we only met once a month. Perfect for overly stretched me. Again, we ebbed and flowed during these past 5 years. One of the most cherished parts of small group ministry is the intimate and thoughtful ways we share our lives with one another. Liesl continued to come every 3 weeks. As time went by, her preparations might have waned a little, but her sharing and deep devotion to our group never did. Dear Liesl, we will forever miss you at our gatherings, especially your singing voice. Thank you for sharing so many parts of yourself with us. Your deep devotion to Christopher, the love of your work in the Sheriff's Department, and your aura of calmness in which you lived your life. Blessed be.
Before we get to hear a beautiful original song by a friend of Liesl and her family, by Skye, I just want to evoke the image of Liesl and Christopher coming to worship every Sunday morning and sitting right there in that second row, those first 2 seats right behind Monica, wearing the same colors, singing. Liesl's smile, Liesl's light, Liesl's attentiveness, Liesl's kindness, Liesl's presence. May all these fill our hearts and spirits as we listen to this beautiful song. now we get to hear from two people who have been so close to Liesl. Truly, this is a gift to get to hear more from their hearts about this beautiful love story that is Liesl's life. So we'll hear first from Liesl's beloved sister, Monica Wirtz.
Hello and blessings. Well, Liesl is a pretty unique name. As some of you may have guessed, she was named after the eldest daughter, Liesl, in the movie The Sound of Music, even though she was the youngest in our family. The Sound of Music was a family tradition. We would watch it together on TV before the days of VCRs, DVDs, Netflix. The TV station would show it just annually, and so our house was just abuzz with getting popcorn made and making sure we were seated before Maria began singing, "The hills are mine." Our dad chose Edelweiss as the father-daughter dance at both our weddings. Liesl's in 2003. She was 5'2", eyes of blue, just like the song. Her trades hailed from our mom's side of the family. Liesl and I were 4 years apart. People asked if we fought a lot as kids, and I know we did some, but that's really not what I remember. I remember the goofy sister stuff, like the little song we would sing when the digital microwave clock happened to be 12:34 when we got home from church. 12:34 is 1, 2, 3, 4. Or when my cat Boober drank out of our bathtub faucet. Boober in the bathtub, scrub-a-dub-a-dub, licking up the soap scum, oh, Boober in the tub. We'd play Barbies and dress up, make forts under the ping pong table, play house, pediatrician with her dolls, library, where Liesl made her own Dewey Decimal cards and the inserts that go in the very old school. She started dancing when she was 3 and never stopped until she had to. During the 1976 Olympics, we tied kitchen rags to the bottom of our feet and mimicked the ice skaters on TV. She loved Mickey Mouse, and I loved Snoopy, and we had fun watching each other decorate our themed rooms. Sometimes we moved into each other's room, which lasted at one night at most. We'd have each other's back, too. Once when Liesl was 6 or so, she got in trouble for something for which the consequence was a spanking from our dad when he got home from work, and those hurt. It was early enough in the day that we had time to come up with a way to prevent a sore bottom. So I suggested sliding one of those flexible Bernstein Bears book down her pants, both to create a contour and to absorb the shock. Pure genius, right? Well, around 5:30, Dad got home and informed Mom of his duty. Liesl was all prepared, and I stood outside the door, hoping she'd come out unscathed and Dad none the wiser. Well, I heard the spank, and it was not the sound that you'd expect. So extremely suspect, Dad pulled out the book, and Liesl, being the truthful person that she was, told him of my great idea. 2 seconds later, I was the one getting spanked. She was a teacher of empathy early on. Once when I had to soak a planter's wart on my foot in a bucket of hot water, she pulled up a bucket beside me and put her foot into as a show of sisterly solidarity. When I earned enough money to buy my own stereo, a big deal. I got it all set up, and she eagerly came in to see, but I selfishly told her to go away. She was crushed. She taught me about human fragility, that my actions and words deeply affect other people. After a not-so-great relationship with someone she was living with while in college, she said the word, and I drove to pick her and all her stuff up and out of that situation and moved her in with me, my oldest daughter, Andy, and my husband at the time. She shared how proud of me she was when I received my master's degree. She gave me a book called Sisters. She wrote a lovely, authentic inscription on the inside cover, and the book is here today. You'll notice in the slideshow during the reception, many pictures. Pictures of Liesl as a baby, as a young kid, young adult. Lots of pictures of Christopher and Liesl together, but most are of people and Liesl gathered. Liesl, Christopher, and I worked for hours putting this together. This still image summary of her life. What a privilege. The most important pictures to her are the ones with friends and family. She had a memory and comment about every single picture, and I can assure you there are lots of pictures. She enjoyed communing, sharing good food, and relishing each other's company. If you ever visited with her, she would be fully present, completely focused on you. If she hosted a gathering, she would set up her surroundings to guarantee she would be. When she was at home in hospice, we discovered we both liked watching those garden transformation shows, and not to our surprise, we had several favorite episodes. One was about this young couple who had a very small outdoor space, and they were artists and very creatively decided to build their garden up. After the service and the episode was over, I asked her, what was your favorite part of the garden? And thinking she would suggest something like a favorite flower, or the artistry behind it, or how efficient the space was. But no, her response was inviting their friends over to share it. I'm sure some of you have received correspondence from Liesl in perfect handwriting, or a 5-star project turned in for work or school, a well-stated opinion, or in my case, a detailed down-to-the-minute itinerary for my vacation with Christopher and Liesl. I love those, I keep those. Liesl was very orderly and practiced good etiquette. I found her book, it's actually here. She liked things how she liked them, and this started early. On a family trip through California, we stopped at this little restaurant for breakfast in this almost abandoned shanty town called Pumpkin Center. The waitress took our orders and came last to Liesl, who asked, what kind of cereals do you have? And the waitress went through a list of 13 different cereals, different options, and Liesl paused and said, well, I'll have waffles. My dad just about lost it. Simultaneously horrified that she made the waitress go through this litany of cereal choices only to order something completely different, and thinking this was probably the funniest thing he'd ever heard. She was funny and subtle about it. When Christopher and Liesl were about to get on a video call with the doctor, Liesl looked fine, but Christopher's hair sort of looked like an homage to the Flock of Seagulls, lead singer. And he asked if he should get it cut, and Liesl said, with no drama, well, at least comb it. If me or Christopher said anything off-color in her book, she would give us the dreaded Garfield the cat look and turn her head slightly. I liked making her do that on purpose. She helped reset our moral compass. People always noticed her attention to detail, her integrity, her determination, and her strength. While working with the text A Year to Live by Stephen Levine, she said those were the areas she was working on: strength, determination, and grace. Qualities she already possessed, but were called upon big time, coming to terms with an early death. For the last 3 years, I have thought, what is the universe thinking? I will never know the answer to that. But I do know, witnessing Liesl dive into existential questions, battle with non-attachment, and come to a place of stating, I know I'm not entitled to live a long life. And expressing gratitude for a life of love well lived, that's helped me in my grief. She had my back. I miss her. For 3 years, I was pre-grieving. I was pissed at cancer and how it has taken every member of my family of origin. I was somehow going through the motions of life: work, parenting, eating, sleeping, and walking around with this "my sister is dying" aura, with my heart out of my body at arm's length, raw and exposed, visible to some but not to others. I grieved the loss of Liesl's earthly potential, of what her life here would have been. Now I mourn that I will not have my sister to grow old with, to call or talk, to watch my daughters graduate and move on with their lives, to be a standing member in the rituals that are our life. But I can reflect. I can cry. I can invite support. I can honor her life by living a life of integrity and caring for and connecting with others. It is said there are 4 things in this life that will change you: love, music, art, and loss. The first three make you wild and full of passion. May you allow the last to make you brave. So that's what I'll do. I'll be brave. At Liesl and Christopher's house, they have a row of these hanging prisms hanging in a window to catch the light. And today I am giving Christopher this Liesl angel prism to add to the rainbows. Each person Liesl knows adds dimension to her life, enriches a chapter of her story. Thank you for being part of hers.
The stories of Liesl, mischievous, and also telling on you, bringing you in another angle of the prism. Also Liesl's determination that things would go a certain way. Sometimes in these last years, and especially in the last weeks and months, as Monica and Christopher created a real sense of home in whatever room Liesl was in, there would be something that would tickle us, something that we would laugh about. And sometimes Liesl would join us, and sometimes she wouldn't be quite so approving of our particular sense of humor. It was beautiful how she was clear about her path, and she helped us all to find our way. But no one knows this better, that her life partner, her beloved, beloved spouse, Christopher. Christopher, would you please come share with us?
I'm very humbled by all the wonderful things that have been said so far. I'm just going to tell a story from my point of view. Being with Liesl was by far the best 22 years of my life, and I miss her dearly. She was my steadfast companion, always there for me in body or spirit, and I'm eternally grateful for all that I learned from her and for the person that she's helped me become. We spent 19 happy, healthy years together, and then I took care of her for 3 years as her primary and usually only caregiver. And then I accompanied her while she was dying. Liesl and I met at Portland State University back in 1996, and we were both working at the computer lab at the business school. She was an undergraduate taking a class called End User Support, and for that class they had to have a 5-hour-a-week practicum in the lab. So she signed up for a shift, and I was a lab proctor. So she had seen me from afar, this is what she told me anyway, that she had looked to sign up on my shift. So we spent many happy hours working there together in the lab, and then after the quarter or semester, I forget, was over, then we started dating, because we didn't want to, violate any kind of anti-fraternization rules. So she wanted everything to be very moral and ethical, So Liesl was amazingly loyal to me and to her family and to her employer and to her values. As Juan already stated, everything she did there was, really hush-hush. She would only speak about things in a very general sense, and I think that sometimes was hard for her because she had frustrations at work like anybody does, but because of the nature of her security clearance and all, she wasn't at liberty to talk about these things, and it was quite a challenge. And I was very heartened to hear Juan speak about some of the great things that she accomplished there that I had no idea of, and my respect for her just magnified greatly. She didn't fall for fads or gimmicks. She was genuine and very down to earth. She valued character and integrity. she valued justice, and she practiced these things all the time. You know, sometimes when you're with a person, there can be, any of these qualities it can be like a double-edged sword, right? Because on the one hand, you know, you admire these things, but then they kind of rub against the reality of your daily life. You know, so she had a strict vegan diet, for example, and she didn't, you know, want to hurt any animals. So when like a bug would come into the house, you know, I wasn't allowed to kill it, and I had to carry it out. You know, that sometimes is kind of hard to do. Like sometimes we would get grasshoppers, and they're really hard to catch. And, you know, also going out to eat, it was really a challenge because, you know, she couldn't have any animal product, including honey and all this other stuff. And that all just became, you know, more challenging as she became ill. Liesl was very studious, and this was something that really attracted me to her when she was a student at Portland State, because I always thought that she'd have a fantastic career and would be just a great life partner, which she was. You know, she earned a master's degree at Missouri State through a distance learning program, and she earned honors there and was able to join the Beta Gamma Sigma Honor Society. She would take really detailed minutes all the time at whatever she was doing, notes and minutes and all this, and then she was kind of, this would tend to get her invited to become secretary of whatever organization she was in, which she had a hard time saying no to, so sometimes this really took up a lot of her time. So she was the secretary officer for her local Beta Gamma Sigma chapter for a couple of years, and then got really burnt out on that. But she did work at what she loved. She loved to do the right thing, and I think being at the sheriff's office, you know, working in public safety, working to enforce the law, she always respected the law, never willfully broke the law as far as I'm aware. I've never seen her break any kind of law. Even jaywalking, she would never jaywalk. So working for the sheriff's office was 100% in alignment with her values. And, you know, she had a lot of respect for Laurie Smith. You know, when you know, things came down to the sheriff's office, Laurie Smith was always coming out on the right side of the issue. You know, like, for example, when those 3 custody deputies killed, I'm not sure if inmate's the right word, but they killed somebody, and she had them all prosecuted, you know, and they were convicted. And we see around the country today how many police officers get away with this stuff, and their leadership doesn't even bother to prosecute them. I can see why Laurie Smith had Liesl's full support. Liesl had a love of music and dance, you know, that's already been mentioned here, but I want to highlight a couple of things. You know, first of all, we did dance tango together on and off for about 20 years, so we made many friends in the tango community, many of whom are here. And no, there won't be any kind of demo, sorry. You know, it wasn't easy for me at the beginning to get into tango because it's very difficult, especially I think for the leader, especially because I never had any dance experience. But Liesl had experience since she was 3, and she loved the dance, especially after watching the movie Tango Lesson. That's kind of what got her into that so much, and she just really believed in the whole culture of it and everything. It was very deeply important to her, and that inspired me to do that and continue on and eventually become somewhat competent on my 2 left feet. The other thing about the music that I want to mention is, you know, during our time together, I have been in a number of choirs. Like I was in the Portland Symphonic Choir, and then the San Jose Symphonic Choir. Now I'm in a choir, a Russian choir. And every time I would have concerts, she would come and see me and support me, and I always really valued that, you know, that I don't know if she really liked the music that much or whatever, but she sure was supporting me, and I appreciated that. Planning was one of her favorite activities. She planned everything, including this celebration of life service, the slideshow, you know, all these things were pre-planned. And she pre-planned her cremation arrangements. She picked out the niche at the columbarium and everything, so it was interesting to see her enthusiasm going through that whole process. In fact, when we got to the columbarium one time, she was like all smiling and to walk up to the office to buy this thing, and I thought to myself, wow, who's so smiley to be dealing with their own demise? But it just shows to me that she came to a place of acceptance on what was happening. And also along the lines of planning, she chose our townhouse while I was on sabbatical, so that made the planning much easier because there wasn't much controversy. She planned the purchase, working with my brother, who's a realtor, and pretty much planning the move by herself. And she always referred to it as her dream house. I don't know if that went back to the Barbie days. I don't know. Barbie, what is it? The townhouse, Barbie Malibu townhouse. I don't know. But she liked the idea of having a townhouse, and she treasured health, and she always worked at it. Whether working at the gym, taking power walks, doing her own version of yoga at home, never drinking, never smoking, never leaving the house without sunscreen. Her whole lifestyle was centered on maintaining her health. And with such clean living, it's such a strong irony that she ended up coming down with cancer. And she had always been thin, and for her to end up having ascites and edema that increased her weight to like 50% more, I mean, it's just horrible to see that. And as she became ill, we watched her life get smaller, but she never lost her spirit. She had to give up tango, but she liked to follow what was going on. She'd ask me, oh, how's so-and-so doing, or she'd follow on Tango Mango, which is our schedule of all the tango events, and she'd see, oh, so-and-so's in town to give workshops. And she wasn't going to take the workshops, but it interested her to see those things going on. So she continued to live vicariously in some of these things. She continued to be as organized and tidy as she could be, even though she had little energy. She meticulously organized her things to make it easy for me after she was gone. She didn't want to leave a mess behind for me. I always tried to get her to, just relax and enjoy the time that you have, but I think that's what she enjoyed doing. She enjoyed planning, she enjoyed organizing, and that was just something that was important to her, much more than just, hanging out or going places. She also struggled to attend support groups, and she had to leave small group ministry at the end of her disease, and she was very sad to give those up. We have some people here from some of her support groups, so thank you for coming. She kept her sense of humor till the end. There was a time when all she could have to eat was clear liquids or ice. Even with that, she was advised to drink only a very small amount, otherwise it might dilate her intestines more. But due to her condition, she was also feeling very dehydrated, so the thirst was just unquenchable. So she kept drinking more and more, and she knew she was drinking too much, but she joked that she didn't want to drink herself to death. When Liesl was diagnosed in July 2015, the prognosis was that she could live 6 months without treatment or 20 to 24 months with treatment. Thanks to the expert and holistic care she received at UCSF, she lived over 3 years. And many of those treatments, especially after her multiple surgeries, would take, weeks or months for her to recover. And until this year when she really didn't recover from anything. Despite all those hardships, I know that she is glad that she had those treatments. She's glad for the additional time that she had to live. I don't think she suffered all that much. Her palliative care team at UCSF was really on top of treating her symptoms, so I'm very grateful for that. None of us knows how long we will live, and when we were visited by the chaplain, Liesl was asked whether she was angry about it, and as Monica mentioned, Liesl had said, well, nobody's entitled to live any specific amount of time, and that is just such a piece of wisdom, that we can all learn from. None of us know whether we're going to even make it to the end of the day today, actually. So I learned from Liesl to live intentionally and in the moment, not to give up planning, but experience the moment for what it is. Be there for people, pay attention, don't be distracted by your phones. And she was always into this anti-phone thing. She wanted to have people's attention because she knew how important the moment was. She always did, but that became much more clear as she went through her illness. Her generosity, her love, her grace, and inner light, it showed until the end. Through her life and illness and death, she showed me the value of health, character, and grace. And I'm eternally grateful to her for all she has done for me, guiding me to healthy pursuits of exercise, healthy food, tango, helping me succeed in my career, being frugal, planning our finances, and leaving me in pretty good shape in that regard, and guiding my spirit to become more compassionate, calm, and caring, which I wasn't so much in the past. I learned that from her, and I miss her dearly, I really do, and I hope to honor her by embodying her values for the rest of my days.
Liesl was so very clear that she wanted us to sing this next hymn. This is the song that she sang over and over to herself when she was stuck this past spring at Regional Medical Center. Sometimes scared, sometimes in pain, but with Christopher by her side every moment. She sang this hymn that Diane's beginning to play. Number 184 in the great hymnal, Be Ye Lamps Unto Yourselves. Let me just say a word about this text, because it's so significant that Liesl would remember and sing this song. It's not even a song we sing all that often in worship. So you know how deeply meaningful it was to her heart. The words to this hymn come from the Buddha's final farewell address, his last teaching. They really mean, in contemporary language, be your own light. Trust in yourself. Believe in your truth, that truth that you sense so deep within you. How powerful that these are the words that carried Liesl through that hard time. How powerful that these are the words that she gives to us now. Diane, I'm going to ask you to play the melody again while we are really, really listening for us once. And then we'll sing together this beautiful chant a few times until we get it into our bones. Let it be our joint prayer. Let it be something we take deep within ourselves. Let it be something that we can carry with us as Liesl carried it with her. You may remain seated to sing, or you may rise in spirit or in body to sway and pray this song.
Be ye lamps
Would you enter with me now into the spirit of guided meditation? Please find a position in your seat that is both comfortable and supported and alert. Perhaps you put both feet on the floor. Perhaps your hands sit cupped in each other or placed palms up in your lap or on your legs. Perhaps your eyes are closed, just following my voice and the stream of vision and thought that comes to your mind. May your back be supported. May it support you as it is designed to do, so that you can breathe. Breathe. Breathing in, we call Liesl to the front of our minds and hearts. Breathing out, we offer her our love. Breathing in, we welcome Liesl. Breathing out, our love. In and out. Continue for a few more moments, breathing in with Liesl, breathing out love. Now, as you breathe in, invite a memory of your time with Liesl to come to the front of your mind. Something simple and clear, something you've heard today, something soft, vague, something she said or did, just a feeling from being around her, from listening to these thoughts. Spend some time with that memory and with that feeling and ask yourself these questions. What do you want to thank Liesl for? What do you want to thank Liesl for? Carrying with us that question, we add this one. What do you want to carry with you from your time with Liesl? What do you want to carry with you, just like Christopher and Monica, all of Liesl's friends have mentioned? What do you want to carry with you into your life from your time with Liesl? We celebrate these sounds of life among us, the cry of a child. She would be smiling, Liesl. What do you want to thank Liesl for? What do you want to carry with you? A few moments as you distill these thoughts and feelings down into just a few words. Breathing in, breathing out. Now I invite you to bring those images and those words that you've distilled back with you now into this circle. what you're thankful for, what you'll carry with you. And now we move into a brief time when we get to bring in our own ways our angles of the prism on Liesl's life. Some of you may feel called to speak briefly. You'll need me here in front of the chalice table. I'll hold the microphone for you so we can really hear you. Please say your name and how you know Liesl and add those few words to capture your memory, your thanks, your gift from Liesl. There are also sheets of paper in your orders of service. Some of you received a special off-white piece of paper from papyrus that Liesl really loved. Others of you have colored sheets of paper in there. If you need a pen, the worship host will come forward in a moment and offer you one. Just a moment. There you can write down what you want to share and also come forward, but not to speak it, but to place it in the woven basket that's on the table in the center of the sanctuary. And finally, whether you decide to speak or to write, some of you may want to take part in a ritual that Liesl created for us, which is this, that we pick up a blossom from the bowl, the white bowl filled with flowers, and set it to float in the larger bowl on the table in the center of the labyrinth. All these choices are also written in your order of service. Whichever you choose to do, I'm going to invite you to form a line over here to my left by those doors to the social hall, because we're going to want to be able to hear the words of those who choose to speak. So even if you're just bringing a piece of paper forward or want to place the flower in the bowl, please form that line if you can. If you want to speak, but it's not easy for you to get to the microphone, you can raise your hand and I'll bring a microphone to you towards the end of this part of our service. So at the sound of the bell, I invite you to form that line and to write your notes. And we'll both listen and write and offer. These notes will be a gift to the family forever and ever. Let us engage in this part of remembering Liesl now. If you need a pen, Owen here is offering pens, so just raise your hand.
I'm Jay. I'm probably going to have to wipe my eyes, so I printed in rather large font. Shortly after I first met Liesl, in 2005, I believe, we were walking with a group of friends from this church to San Pedro Square Market for lunch. We came to an intersection which was anything but busy. There was no car, truck, bus, or train in sight. The group walked casually across except for us three, Christopher, Liesl, and myself. We were a bit behind the group, telling one another some of our personal life stories. Well, I was doing most of the telling, as Liesl was such a great listener, polite and friendly, never interrupting, never judging, and never competing to tell an even better story. I stepped into the street a few steps and immediately noticed that I was suddenly alone. Liesl, regardless of the absence of traffic, had stopped at the intersection. The sign still said, "Don't walk," and Liesl refused to cross before the light permitted. Without any judgment toward the rest of the group of jaywalkers, she had made the choice to obey the law even with no one watching. In the years that followed, I came to know that wonderful woman who went out of her way to always do the right thing. If she ever had the chance to be kind and thoughtful to someone, she would take it. More than being polite, Liesl was loving, selfless, and genuine with everyone. I'm sure Christopher has seen this a time or two, but I never saw her angry. Well, perhaps I saw her angry at the difficult symptoms of her progressing cancer. At this church, we have within our mission statement the shared stated goal of making love visible in all that we say and do. Liesl, seemingly effortlessly, did just that. I hope she knew well how much I loved her, not in a way that might make Christopher mistrust me about it, but in the same way, I am sure most of you loved her too. I was planning to explicitly tell her how I loved her when I was going to visit her in San Francisco on a Friday afternoon. She didn't get to hear it from me as she died the day before. So now, in the presence of you all who loved her as I did, I want to say, I love you, Liesl, and now I will continue to miss you.
Hi, my name's Jeffrey Clevis. I'm a member, been a member for a long time. I was, in 2002, I was part of a small group ministry that Carolyn Bowman and I and Liesl all seemed to join at the same time. There's a few others. Dean Dickinson was in that group. And there was a few folks in that extraordinary experience. I tip my hat and I thank my lucky stars that I got to be in there with Carolyn and Liesl. I'm going to talk about Liesl here. The woman, where do you begin? The woman had so much, I'm trying to find the word. It's, I'm going to say grace, because grace is such an important concept for everyone. We really need it. Each of us needs that. She was so authentic and so caring and so, with the little mementos and the things she would bring when it was an assignment, she was so good at that. But it was such an inspiration, and she was such a warm, loving, caring person. I'm taking that with me. I like what you said earlier, Nancy, about take that light with you. That's the light I'm taking. Grace. And she loved Christopher. She really did. Chris, you're a lucky guy.
Hi, I'm Jamie Landstrom, and I don't remember meeting Christopher Liesl because I've known them my whole life, meeting here at the church. And one of my first memories I think, was at the wedding reception, and I had a little vest on, and I remember Christopher and Liesl dancing, and just how happy and how broad her smile was, and I just feel so blessed, and it's just such a beautiful memory to have. I remember Christopher and Liesl would always have these little get-togethers and people come, and I remember Liesl had this playhouse with Disney characters, and I would play with it since, I was a child and needed some distraction, and she just had this welcoming smile and always felt like a family member to me, and as does Christopher. I love you, Liesl.
Sebastian. I'm Christopher's brother, Liesl's brother-in-law, I guess. You know, Liesl and I were not very similar kind of people, you know. She's very neat and orderly, and I'm not neat or orderly. But I've always admired that in her. You know, it was always, I mean, she had a lot of integrity. I mean, I'll admit it, I once in a while have violated the Digital Millennium Copyright Act and may have bit-torrented a few movies, but Liesl wouldn't even watch them. She would not even watch my bit-torrented movies, if you can believe that. She would only watch actual store-bought DVDs. And you wonder, you know, what kind of person is that who would refuse to watch a bit-torrented movie? And that kind of person was Liesl, and that, you know, I mean, I don't watch a lot of DMCA-violated movies, Sheriff Department, but...
I may need to take the microphone away from you.
But it has happened, and Liesl would never do that, and, you know, so... While Liesl and I are really different people, I really always admired her because she just had this kind of righteousness and integrity and a purity that, you know, I don't have. But, you know, you were asking earlier, what are we thankful here for about Liesl? I'm really thankful for the way she took care of my brother all those years. It was really amazing, and she really made him a better person. And through that, me too. So that's what I have to say.
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm Christopher's sister, and I have these 3 children. This is Amanda, Millicent, and Henry. And we didn't live very close to Christopher and Liesl for most of their lives. And when we moved 3 years ago, I was hoping that they would get to know her better, but we moved the day that she got her diagnosis, so we haven't really spent that much time with her. But when they did spend time with her, she was 100% with them. Like, I remember she came for Millicent's baptism to visit us in Boise, and she was on the floor playing trains with Henry, and like totally engaged with him, and he was like 2, and I had not seen her like playful like that ever. That was really sweet. And another time, we were in Yellowstone. She came out. They came out to go to Yellowstone with us, and I remember she had already had a workout in the morning, and then we were driving. It was our last day, and we went down and we saw this waterfall somewhere, and Henry was tired, and so she carried him on her back, like up, I don't know how, it was like half a mile. It was like really steep stairs, and I was like, oh my gosh, you are Wonder Woman, yes. Amazing. So, yeah, she was so strong. She's always really connected with my kids when she would see them, and I'm really glad that they did get to know her, and that they will be better for having had her in their lives.
Hi, my name's Al Rosello. I didn't really know her that well. I did meet her through my friend Melanie and through Christopher. And as a visual artist, I thought she was one of the most spectacular, beautiful women I'd ever seen in my life. And I really lament your loss, but I also celebrate the incredible inspiration she was to you, Christopher.
Liesl was a great woman to me. I loved her. She was very beautiful. She'll share my soul with her, always. Evan.
You were her nephew. Evan, thank you so much. That was so beautiful. Do you want to put a photo in that? That would be great.
I am Chantal. I know Liesl through tango.
And there are many tango community people here to honor her. And I just wanted to say my memory of Liesl is a little lady always wearing the same black dress, very short and sassy, wriggling gorgeous legs. And despite this daring dress, she has the most graceful smile, inviting smile, very composed personality that was so attractive. It was attractive to me anyway, and that's my memory of Liesl. This grace, this beautiful accepting smile, gorgeous legs, and sassy black dress. It all summarizes an amazing personality, and Liesl, I miss you very much, and the whole tango community will miss you.
After the service is over, I'm going to invite you all to come forward and place your notes in the basket and place flowers in the bowl, and be sure to take some pictures with your phones and send them to Christopher and to Monica so that we all have a chance to see that. Would you like to speak?
My name is Maria, and I know Liesl also from the tango community. First name, Monica, and Christopher, thank you for having me here. It's an honor. I just want to say that the last time I went to a funeral was 12 years ago, and it was my husband's. So what I want to tell you is Christopher will have a very difficult time starting not today, not next month, but probably in about 3 months. Please don't forget him. So I know this is about Liesl, because she loved him so much. She would want him to be taken care of. And I want to make sure that you remember that he'll have a really difficult time, and please be with him. That's what I have to say. Thank you. And we can promise you that you will always have our companionship and our love woven deeply, deeply into this community. It's another way that we keep Liesl with us, and we love you for the way that you have loved Liesl, for the amazing opportunity to witness such a powerful love. Now is the time to gather up everything we have learned and felt and heard today. Everything we want to carry forward with us always. Now is the time to promise Liesl that we will carry her light forward, that we will keep letting that prism of her life shine and cast its rainbows and beauties over our lives. Our time to promise her that we will live our lives with renewed integrity, staying true to our deepest values, seeking our truths, lighting our lamps and attending to them, and sharing our love the way she did, caring for those that she loved so profoundly. You'll find a responsive reading in your order of service. I ask you to think of this as our promise that we will now find Liesl with us always and everywhere. So I will read the first lines, and then you can read the italics. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember. So long as we live, Liesl too shall live,
for she is now a part of us as we remember her. Liesl wanted us to sing one more song that celebrates all that it means to be alive, one more song that is itself a dance. She loved life. She lived every single day that she was given. She loved to dance with Christopher. She loved to dance, period. So let us sing this closing song with the joy that Liesl felt in choosing it for us to sing, with the joy that Liesl felt in being alive, and the joy that we feel for knowing her and carrying her forward with us. You'll find it number 311 in the great hymnal, Let It Be a Dance. Please rise in body or in spirit. Let it be a dance with you. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance, back to the forest. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must cry. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Chorus again. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong and nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. Last two phrases. Let me go again. Last phrase. Let it be a dance. Please remain standing and take the hand of someone near you or put a hand on their shoulder for the benediction. Beloved community, we are bound together by this time we have shared and by the love that we have for Liesl and that we will carry forward for the rest of our lives. Let it be a dance then. Let us move through life as Liesl has shown us how. Dancing, shining, siding with love and with fairness, fighting fiercely for the rights of all creatures to live fully, knowing ourselves and pouring forth our love on all we meet. Amen. Amen. Shalom. Shalom. Salam. Salam. Namaste.